Have you ever wondered how to animate a character running and having a camera rotating around it? Oh yeah? Oh my god! There are other people crazy about animation like me? Welcome! Here I'm going to explain how I did this shot, so let's start. If you want to know why my clip studio looks different, watch the video Animate Like a Pro. Now, if like me, you don't have the timeline visible, just go to Windows and look for timeline. It will pop up and I always attach it to the bottom like this. You know, any file can be an animation file. So here I am using a file with a 4K resolution. That means 3840 x 2160 pixels. To convert this into an animation, just click here to create a new timeline. And in this case, I will leave it at 12 frames per second. But you can set a different speed if you want. In this shot, I want a duration of 4 seconds. So that means 48 frames at 12 frames per second. We already have our timeline and it can be played, but there is nothing to see here. And this is because we haven't started putting layers on it. But first, let's set an important configuration. So go to Animation, Playback Settings, and you must have active the same ones I have here. So you need to prefer speed, render before starting playback. That one is really important. These are my preferred settings and they work very well, so I really recommend it. To create this shot, I use a material from the Assets store that I like a lot. It's the 3D rotation template. This is the material in the store. The price is 200 gold, but it's worth it. The effect is the Matrix bullet time effect. This material can be made manually, but it's a lot of work. So I recommend you to buy it. But if you prefer to create it, I explain how to do it in the video 360 spherical image animated background in Clip Studio. Wow, a big name. If you want to watch that, I explain how to do it at the end of that video. In the material, the Y represents the value of the camera height. So it means how high is the camera respect to the ground, 400, 200, 100 or 20. I prefer the camera lower, so at 20 height. So I use this one, just drag the material to the canvas. This material creates an animation folder with 360 3D layers with the coordinates of the camera movements that recreate the circular motion. Now I want to explain something before I start. In a new file, I will use the playback speed at 24 frames and the number of frames is 360. I want to show the result of this material by itself, like how it's supposed to be used. I drag the material of the canvas like we did previously, and in my character folder I can choose one that is suitable. Like, first I must put the 3D layers in the timeline. You need to go to Animation, Edit Track, Batch Specific Cells. I select this option and the rest remain as it is. What this function does is to put the sequence of layers in the timeline in the order in which appear in the animation folder. Now I'm going to select the character. For example, this female 04. I put it in the canvas, and with this tool I can move it with the fits in the ground, and I will put it in the center that the X indicate. But this character is too big for the canvas. In the wrench icon I need to go to Allocate, and we can change the scale of the object until it's at the correct size. I need to remove this window to see what is happening because I am blinded here. A little more, less, like this. We can put shadows to the character if it's something that you like. Now we can choose the pose from the assets. I have several poses. I will drag this one to the position. You need to put it in the top of the character and let it go. Now we're going to use the auto actions of this material. It's this one here. But I already installed it, so I'm going to open my auto actions. And here you can see what it does. It simply copies the 3D models, go to the next frame, paste it, and it does this 359 times. So it's just one click and everything is ready. I'm going to execute the action, and because it has so many steps, it's going to take a long time, but you have to be patient. Wow, it took more than 3 minutes to finalize. It's rough. Now let's see the results. As you can see, the effect is the matrix effect. The time is frozen in the position. Wow, something is wrong with her breast. But the movement is very fluid because there are 360 3D models, so the animation is not too good because it has so much information. The playback is not the best. What I do to avoid this is to create an auto action. I know I use a lot of auto actions, but this auto action pastes the model and convert it into an image, so it rasterizes the layers. So in this way, it's not so heavy for Clip Studio. Now you have to keep in mind that you can't move the camera because the camera is the information we receive from this asset. If you do that, if you move the camera with these trim manipulators, for example, it's going to change a specific frame, but the rest will be at the same position. The next frame is going to jump to the previous position because it's just changing the camera in one frame. You can see what's happening here. I'm going to undo this. Now let's go back. I don't need this anymore. I'm going to close it. Let's go back to the example of the running and the camera movement. Let me explain what I want from this shot. This image here is what I want to be at the beginning of the shot. In this position, the view of the character will be at the end of the shot. So at the beginning, the character will be running in the front view. And at the end of the shot, the character is going to be in a side view at 90 degrees from the start of the shot. If this line here represents the 360 degrees of a circle, here will be half. This will be a fourth, which is 90 degrees. And this is what I want to use. The first 90 degrees in the asset. But I'm not going to use it all because 90 frames at 12 frames per second will be 7.5 seconds of animation. And what I want is this movement to happen in 2 seconds. So in this table, we can see where I decide which frames to erase. What I did was to create an acceleration and deceleration by taking few frames at the beginning and at the end. Then I keep the movement constant by deleting every 3 frames, as you can see in this file. All the blue was the deleted frames from this folder, and I delete from frame 91 to frame 360. I have the file prepared already, as it was done in the previous example, but only with 21 frames. Now I can select the model I want for the character. I can drag this to the first frame, and with the free move tool I can place the character in the center of the X. As in the previous file, the character is too big for the canvas, so let me activate the lights first and deactivate the shadows. Now I can click the wrench, and in allocate I can change the scale of this model until it's inside the space I need. More or less here. I can copy the character with Ctrl+C, and in a new animation folder I'm going to paste it. This character is at the precise size for the canvas, so now it's going to work in the animation folder for the movement of the camera. But you can't see the character because we haven't put it in the timeline. Just right click and select layer 1. But first I need to do something I feel a little bit awkward. I have to plug my Gumroad now, sorry. But to move this character I'm going to use the Easy Animation pack. As you can see in this pack I have consecutive poses that make walkings, sneakings, running like Naruto for example, other running styles. There are about 28 types of walking and runnings. These reference models and some extras. So if you find this material interesting, visit my store. Link is in the description. So with this behind me, let's continue. The character must be in a side view With this button, you can press this one. It is easy to adjust the movement in this position. Because this is not the camera we are going to use for the shot, it's possible to manipulate the camera and adjust the position we need because the character is at the right scale. In this new folder, we only have one model and one layer, but the 3D layers, if you press a new animation cell button, Clip not only create a new layer, but it copy the 3D model into a new one. So let's do this twice more. These 4 models are enough for the running cycle I'm going to use, which is called running fast. The pose information is in these .pep files, and they are used by dragging the file over the character and let it go. Here's the first pose, which is a contact. Now the second frame, I drag the next pose, which is the down. Now drag the next pose. And finally, this passing position, this passing up position. This one must be modified because the clip poses doesn't save information of how high the model is in space. So you cannot save the rotation of a model or how high it is. And it has sense because models vary in size. This information is not safe anywhere. If we activate the onion skin, we see the previous and the next frame. I have a preset. I have a preset for some options in this menu. It's faster in this way. You can see here the movement. I will modify how high are some of the models to adjust the cycle. The first frame I want to be higher, and the last should be the highest of all. If we want to see how it looks in relation to the first frame, we can put the first frame temporarily by right click and select frame 1. Yep, like this. I'm not longer need the first frame, so select it, right click and delete. In the layer menu, I will select the 4 layers that make the animation so far, right click and duplicate, and drag these new layers to the top of everything like this. Now I can rename the layers to understand better the cycle 5, 6, 7, and 8. To complete the cycle, I will put the missing layers in the timeline. It's done as we saw before. I go to the place where I need it, right click and select it. I made a mistake here, but just drag this line to the frame 7 and finally layer 8. Now, because the character is symmetrical, the second part of the cycle is repeated but mirrored. So in frame 5, I will press this arrow facing each other, which indicate mirror the model. I do the same for frame 6, 7, and 8. I need to shorten this timeline to see this cycle. It's okay, the movement looks correct. Now I'm going to extend to the 4 seconds again. I'm going to shorten the duration of the folder by dragging from the top corner like this. If I select the top bar, the whole animation folder is selected, and right click, copy the whole folder. If I click the cursor here, I can paste the folder, continuing the timeline. I create some shortcuts icons for this action to not have to do right click every time. There are these ones. The reason I do this is because I want to know where each cycle starts and ends, and how many cycles are in the 4 seconds of the entire shot. Because I don't want the movement to start immediately in the animation, but a few frames later. I can drag the animation folder from here to complete the previous frame, drag from the left corner to the first frame, and I create the intermediate frames with the new animation cell option. Remember that these create copies of the 3D layers, so this will be the same for all. I will continue until I reach the layer called 2. With this file, we can start to to paste the model in each 3D layer. Then I make this visible and select the model, Ctrl C to copy and paste it in the beginning. But because it's a cycle and it repeats in frame 9, I paste it here too, and the same in here, and at each beginning of a cycle. Here I don't need to paste it, later I will fix this. Now the position, the second position, I paste it here, here. Continue with the next position. Now that I finish, I can explain what happened here. I need to complete the 4 seconds, so I can select this frame by left click and drag until they are selected. And this is the start of the cycle. When everything is red, just right click, copy. I can do this from the menu too. I'll select the position where I need to paste everything, right click and paste. Finally, paste this part. I don't need this folder anymore, so I can delete it. I'm going to test the animation now. As you can see, the character runs and the camera rotates around him. And it is in a fluid movement. But it doesn't look like the one I showed at the beginning. So, to achieve the complete effect, let's create a 2D camera folder. Is in animation, new animation layer, 2D camera folder. The animation must be inside this camera folder. This camera can be animated with keys using the operation tool. Having selected the 2D folder, I can change the area that the camera can see. I want to keep this for at least 1 second, so in frame 12, right click and add keyframe. This keeps the camera static until here, and in the second 2, I want to see the whole character, so I will adjust the camera to be in a more open position. This gray box represents the previous position of the camera, and the lines is the path it takes. If you want to see what the camera sees, just click here. This is what the camera will render. But in this option you will see the box that represents the camera and how the camera will move. I will select the camera view now and we will see our animation. This is our base to create our animated character. The good thing is that we have the base that represents the volumes in 3D and the movement of the camera. So it's a great help. You know, this animation, complex as it is, I did finish it in 1 day. Now this is incredibly fast because it has a lot of complexity, and with this method it's vastly simplified. From now on, this will be my draft. Let's change the color of the layer and I will create a new animation folder with a vector layer inside. And here I select the layer to be my first frame. It's better to lower the opacity of the draft so this is not so intense. With the pencil, I will paint my character over this reference structure. What I do is to adjust the proportion of my character to this base. I'm not going to explain how to paint, but you understand what I'm doing. I paint over this. This is my rough. Now, using this as reference, I can paint my line art. But to be able to see both the rough and the line art in the same layer, I need to do this in layer. To tell you the truth, I don't know where it is, sorry. But the shortcut is very simple, it's just Ctrl G, like group. I don't know, it's simple. So Ctrl G, make a group, and here is the folder with the same name as the first frame. I can drag the line art layer inside to continue. Now I can paint the vector layer, and I just need to finish my line art. And when I create a new cell, this one keeps the rough and the line art layer in a folder, so I can continue my animation. Something interesting is that you can copy parts of the model because they are vector layers and paste it in the new vector layer. For example, the face don't change so much, so I copy and paste it in the next frame. I just need to adjust the position. You can adjust the character as much as you want, but I'm not going to show this process. It's too boring. It's not interesting enough. After 5 hours I have the animation, and I'm going to do the same as before. Copy this frame to complete the last part of the cycle, which repeats. Then I copy and paste twice. Now I can test the animation, and here you can see the results. It's a very complex animation done in a simple way, well, in my opinion. One thing I didn't like is that the character runs in a relatively relaxed way. So to improve the speed, what I did was to enable keyframes in this folder. More or less in this position, I want to freeze the rotation. And at this point, I rotate the folder so that the character leans to the front. This is the result of this change. The movement of the character looks faster, it's more dynamic. If you want to make some modification, you need to disable these keyframes. Well, I have already explained this many times, but here is again how to color. With the fill tool and with this configuration that you can see here, we can begin. First, let's open the subview to see my reference model. From this window, we can automatically select colors. You just click the color of the model. Then I select, for example, the skin and fill the areas of the character. First, select the skin and fill the areas I need. Now the neck, the mouth, the eyebrows, the hair. I like the hair a little lighter. The eyes. For the white part of the eyes, I will select a light gray, but as the area is open, I will use another tool for this, the lasso fill tool. This tool select and fill in one step, so it's very useful for this kind of cases. To not lose the color of the eye, I will copy with Alt, and with the fill tool I will fill the eye. Now I do this part. I need to repeat this 31 times for all the frames. I'm done. Oops, I make a mistake in this part. I need to fill it. And this is all, folks. I know that for some people this is too complicated, but this is because they never tried to do this animation. Understanding how something moves in time and space and camera movement, everything at the same time, is very time consuming, and you need to do this like 5 times to get it right. It will take you a long time. And with this method, although it's a bit convoluted, if you master it, you can make amazing animation very fast and easy. So thank you for watching, and bye bye.